favorite piano life moment was during this recent, it was the Pianos in the Park thing where we all went around and played pianos in different parks all around Seattle. And somehow I just felt an instinctive urge, and I said, hey, why don't you jump in and play this duet with me? And the guy came over and he could play this tremendous boogie woogie and blues type of sounding piano, and all the people in the park were watching, and it was just something that spontaneously happened. Neither of us have ever seen each other before, after, and since, but we had that one moment just playing the music spontaneously right there.
And we had this creative idea of how could we put pianos in the parks for people in the community to discover parks through art and music.
I think music has impacted almost every aspect of my life. It's how I make my living, and it affects even the way my brain thinks, because I'm used to communicating emotionally with people from all around the world in every walk of life, every age. It's just a feeling that I have that I can do that.
We came up with the idea of trying to inspire other people to get out into this wonderful resource that we have, our beautiful parks and open spaces. And we came up with this idea of how neat it would be to be walking in a park and seeing a piano or hearing the music of a piano. You don't expect it, and we thought it would help draw people in to discover more of their parks.
So what inspired me to enter the Pianos in the Park contest? Well, my husband is a bicycle commuter, so one day he came home from work saying that he had passed a piano on the Burt Gilman Trail, and isn't that interesting? And I wonder why that was there. So I went out to ride my bike and tucked in my messenger bag some piano music, because I need music to play. And I thought, well, I might pass this piano that he talks about. That sounds interesting. And I went and I found it. It was near our house in Kenmore, this first piano. And I sat down and I played it. And then he mentioned 3 more on his way to work, so I found a piano in Woodinville at Wilmot Gateway Park, and I played that. And then rode a little bit farther and found one at North Shore Athletic Fields. And I played that, and it was fun. The people gathered around, the cyclists, runners, walkers, and everyone seemed so grateful just to have a little bit of music as they walked or ran by. And I just was so surprised at all the thank yous that I got. I was just sitting down, enjoying myself, playing the piano outside. That's not something I ever get to do.
It wasn't too much after February, March is when we started putting together the partners and had them all come together. And of course, we launched this campaign in July. So this was a very quick turnaround. Most brands and companies are used to working a year out, and we were a few months out. So it was pretty amazing that we made that happen.
So we didn't start off with a list of partners that we thought we needed to have to make this happen. We just started having conversations, and as we talked with one group, they said, you should really be talking to someone else. And in fact, we were with the symphony, and they said, do you know who Ben Klinger is at Classic Pianos? And we had not heard of Ben before, and they said, well, if you're doing anything with pianos, you have to call him. And so that was a phone call. I picked up the phone, said, can we have a conversation? And he was on board immediately. That happened over and over again, where someone said, who would really be interested in this is X organization. So it wasn't a list we made, it was organically grown partnership.
Similarity of this project to anything that we've done in the past is pretty much nil. The logistics that went into this were pretty amazing. With the partners, specifically around the artists, getting them to paint and create the pianos, the logistics that went into them, the parks partnerships and all the partnerships and activation. This was a pretty unique one, but the results of it were pretty unique as well. So the park venues were chosen in that we already had a relationship with King County Parks, and they wanted to participate. And then we, with the help of Seattle Office of Film and Music, they actually went to the Parks Department with this concept and idea, and the Parks Department got very excited about it. So once they came on board, we identified the parks and a variety of different parks that we wanted to be in, from south to north to east to west, and as well as the county. And so we ended up selecting 10 city parks and 5 county parks.
I was very enamored by the fact that these pianos were getting people to come together in the parks. People would come by and they would start conversations, or people would start dancing, or they would just sit and listen. Or there was one time an elderly woman who was blind in a wheelchair was with her caregiver, and she was wheeled over to the piano at Maple Leaf Park. And she just remembered the entertainer from long, long ago. And she literally, I wasn't watching her closely because I was playing, but her arms were up and swinging, and she couldn't get up and dance, but she loved, and she couldn't see me. She loved hearing the music, and as I played, I loved hearing her caregiver describe me, the musician, and the piano, which had been painted also in words to this woman who couldn't sing, but she certainly enjoyed the music that day.
The most rewarding aspect of this project was the community involvement. So many people were so delighted by having these pianos in parks around them. The access to being able to play a piano is something that not everybody has, and we received story after story about how having these pianos in their nearby park just made their summer. And so that really was incredibly rewarding to know that we had had an impact in the community in such a big way. I think the biggest benefit that Pianos in the Park brought to Seattle was it helped people connect with one another. Sometimes we hear about the Seattle freeze and that people don't interact with one another. And at every piano that I went to, I saw people who had never spoken to one another, having conversations, getting to know their neighbors, and bonding in some way over piano, and just getting to hear music in such a wonderful outdoor space. We've been getting a lot of questions about whether there will be pianos in the parks in 2015. And with the community support that we've had, we're definitely interested in seeing if that's possible. No commitments, but this was an exciting program, and we feel the enthusiasm that the community has had for it.